members of the faculty, staff, and members of the press. It is indeed an honor to deliver this address on the occasion of the 39th convocation. I just wanted to bring to your notice some of the changes we are introducing in the academics and the extracurricular life at IIT, ISM Dhanbad. And then I'll give you my views on your pursuits after graduation. You will be happy to know that we are making significant changes in the curriculum. From 2019-20 academic year, the Senate has approved the introduction of the double major, which means that by spending 1 year extra, you literally get a second BTech degree. The other changes we are making is that the dual degree program will not be from JEE. Students will be able to opt for it at the end of the second year. In addition, we have made our curriculum more flexible. The number of compulsory courses will reduce. The number of department electives and the number of open electives are all set to increase so that we produce students who are all-rounders but yet have core competency in their fields. In research, I forgot. In addition, what we are also doing is from next semester onwards, we plan to also introduce relative grading. In terms of research, we have taken a number of steps. We have big projects in coal bed methane. We have projects in enhanced extraction of oil, virtual reality, etc. In addition, we have just inked an MOU with IBM to set up a center for artificial intelligence, and hopefully very soon we'll be having an agreement with ARM for an ARMS center. You know, ARM is related with development of chips. We've also made a number of changes in the extracurricular activities. The 2,000 boys hostel which was stalled the construction will start, and hopefully in a year's time it will be ready. So the cramped hostel conditions that you all faced will not be faced by the students coming after you. And our idea also here is to provide you enough opportunities to recharge your batteries after a long day in classes and laboratories. So what we have done is, we have substantially increased the funding of all the major clubs, and in sports we have hired 12 coaches, and hopefully we will do much better in the inter-IIT sports competition in IIT. What we noticed was other major changes. The area in front of the library will be converted into a plaza. All major universities have a plaza, which is the center of all extracurricular activity. So we have, if you go to the library, we're going to have a food plaza in the basement of the library. Then we are also going to have a thela park, so that you don't have to go out of the gate and eat the unhygienic food in the thelas. So we already have 2 thelas there. More importantly, that will be the hub of activity. So what we hope, with the cooperation of the students, we plan to just block the area from Jasper to Petroleum Engineering Department to motorized traffic every day from 6 to, let us say, 8:30, and have some sort of program, something like an Indian Idol, Dumb Charade, all those competitions. So you can enjoy the ambience and you can get good food to eat simultaneously. How about the larger picture? Now that you have graduated from the institute, you must have seen the real world, which is very different from the life you had spent at IIT ISM. It is actually a time for introspection, time for looking at what are the objectives in your life. You know, we expect our IIT ISM graduates to be global leaders in their profession. But global leaders have a dream, a vision, and a larger objective in life. But let us go back to your past. Let us step back and go to your past. You will find that life has been running for you in the literally an auto mode. In the later part of the school, you either go for medical or JEE. If you're scared of a needle, or if you're scared of seeing a wound, you end up being an engineer. Once you crack the JEE exam, you select a department not based on your passion. You select a department based on where you would get the maximum return on investment. So everybody, for example, would want to be a computer science engineer. And once you are in IIT, you would be looking for grades and finally a job. A job in a famous company with a good package. There may not be any connection with your passion. There may not be any connection with your inner strength. So the question I want to ask you is, you have to look back and think, did you all, being an IITian and despite having enormous talent, did you do anything spectacular when you were at IIT? Think about it. So the question is, what should be our larger objectives in life? Obviously, being an IIT, we have to talk about technology. And if you look at technology, I wish when you look at the mobile, you look at websites like DARPA, you will see that in terms of technology in any field, whether it is steel, whether it is aluminum, whether it is electronics, whether it is computers, we are about 10-15 years behind the West in terms of technology prowess. So, what should be your objective? It's very clear. Being an IIT graduate, your larger objectives must relate to making India a global technology hotspot and catapulting India among the ranks of countries such as China and South Korea, who were below India in the early 70s. Now, what does that require? It requires technology vision. See, if you see most of the time, if you look at our research, if you look at our industry, most of the time we are playing catch-up. Something is developed in the West, and what we try to do is incremental improvement. And that is why, as graduates of ISM, you need to develop a technology vision. What do I mean by technology vision? Ability to see the direction in which technology is headed and follow up on that, start working on that immediately. Most technologies take a few years to mature, obviously with the exception of IT technologies where changes take place in a relentless pace, so that by the time the technology comes for commercialization, you are there with your product. Now let me give you an example how we have missed the bus. In 2017, Infosys came up with their driverless golf cart. In 2017, sorry. But by 2016, Google had already test run 28 lakh kilometers of their autonomous car. In 2015, Google had already run their autonomous cars in public roads, and they also had a blind man literally driving a car. So you see there's a gap of 8 or 9 years. It need not have been there. If you sort of dissect the technology of autonomous cars, you would see the sensors that are used for navigating autonomous cars in traffic, such as LiDAR, camera, radar, etc., were available before 2008, when Google started working on their driverless cars. We also had the expertise of integrating the data from all the sensors into a software for controlling the movement of the autonomous cars through traffic. But we never thought about it. And we are way behind. And if you think about it, some of the developments that you see are obvious. For example, in US, the automatic transmission came in the 70s. So, if you're driving a car, especially in the traffic in India, it is very clear. If you have a manual car, it's very painful. You have to keep on changing the stick shift gears frequently. You would want to have a automatic transmission. When you are on a highway, you don't want to keep the accelerator pressed all the time. It puts strain on your feet. So you went to cruise control. So manual to automatic to cruise control. What was the next obvious direction? It was autonomous cars. It is a no-brainer, but we never thought about it. Similarly, you hear a lot about the cloud. With the advent of the internet area, wasn't it obvious that we had to move from physical computing to cloud computing? We never thought about it. Then, you hear a lot about artificial intelligence. Wasn't artificial intelligence a natural successor to the conventional automation system? Or in this era where, leaving aside what some leader says, clean technologies and renewable energy, we should have started work on it a lot earlier. So my question is, our generation missed the bus, but the future is in your hands. You are the superstars of the country. So the question is, how do you become a techno-astrologer? How do you forecast in what direction the technology moves? I mean, we have another famous case of Nokia. Nokia was the leader in cell phones, but they could not foresee the smartphone era. And they stayed with phones and they're nowhere to be seen. So, some of the things are very simple. One, you just look around you. The problems would be staring at you. Many of you must have gone to Gurgaon or Delhi. You must have seen these tall skyscrapers with a glass front. देखा होगा? और ग्लास में हिंदुस्तान में बहुत धूल धक्कड़ है, तो ग्लास could get dirty. So have you ever thought that cleaning those glass fronts of these tall buildings would be a good business proposition? आपने कभी सोचा कैसे होगा? पुराने ज़माने में ऊपर से लटक के वो साफ करते हो. There's a recent innovation. They use drones. Then everybody likes a selfie, है ना? But what's the problem with the selfie? The person who takes the selfie, his face appears very puffed. Not a very good looking face. So some engineers have come up with a drone camera. So there's a drone, a lightweight drone. You can control it very easily. It is connected to your mobile phone through an app, and it can take your selfies from different heights and different angles. So now you see, first you had the selfie, you had it like this, then you had the selfie stick. तो आपको ये सोचना है आगे क्या? आगे drone. There are other issues. You see motorbikes. You hear a lot about motorbike accidents. Helmet से सर बचा लेंगे, लेकिन what about your limbs? What about people sitting behind you who never have helmets? So have you ever thought, how do I make a motorcycle more stable so it does not skid? How do I make sure that if a person, what sort of gadget should incorporate in this motorbike so that when it tips, the injury is minimal? And obviously the other thing is, what do you get when you move about the ISM gate, chaotic traffic. Can you think of a technology which can control this chaotic traffic? You know, it is not possible to put a traffic policeman in all nooks and corners of the country. You see all the accidents in highways. You see the accidents in these roads here. Can you think of a technology solution? It's a mentality. You always have to ask, इसमें क्या कमी है? इसको मैं कैसे अच्छा कर सकता हूँ? This is what you have to do throughout your life. And ये भी सोचिए कि हम और improve कैसे कर सकते हैं? You know, from here to Delhi takes about 13 hours. What's the maximum average train of average speed of Rajdhani is 80 kilometers an hour. Or okay, maximum speed is 125. What do I need to do as an engineer? What technology I should bring in so that the speed increases to 400, 500 kilometers per hour? Or you have heard about electric cars. What is the biggest problem with electric cars? Charging. So remember, so see, it was available. Earlier charging, what happens? We have to charge the battery the whole day. And then Elon Musk came up with a solution. He had these super fast chargers. Also, he had a battery changing station. It was a very interesting video on YouTube where you saw that the battery in a car could be replaced faster than you fill petrol in the tank. So these are innovative. And what is the best way of charging a car? Wireless charging. You have a charging network throughout the road, and as you are driving the car, the battery keeps on getting charged. So, कहना क्या है? आपको सपने देखने हैं. Sapna of the right kind. And see, dreams do matter. I don't know how many of you have read science fiction authors, but what science fiction authors dreamt 50, 60 years ago have become a reality. So things like space travel, Isaac Asimov, if any of you have read it, internet, invisibility cloaks, laser gun, they were all conceived by the science fiction authors. And now they have become a reality. आपको सपने देखने होंगे, आपको सवाल करने पड़ेंगे, कैसे इसको अच्छा कर सकते हैं. And finally, I wish, since you are a technology institute, I hope and wish most of you become a crorepati techno nerd. Techno nerd means you are a technology genius, and like Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos or Steve Jobs. Why do I say crorepati? Crorepati is not about getting a $300,000 job in Google or Amazon. It is a metaphor for a grand vision, your grand dream, which can be fulfilled by your desire to excel in creating world-class new products. And there is another thing which has inspired me. There is one very unique thing about this IIT, is the Center for Societal Vision. The amount of work they do for the underprivileged is amazing. For doing anything, you need money. So once you become a crorepati, which I hope many of you will, it is about sharing your wealth to improve the lives of underprivileged around the world, just like Bill Gates and Warren Buffett. So graduates, you have to start thinking, when you are doing a job, it's not about going there from 9 to 5 and giving your best. You have to elevate yourself to a very different level. And finally, our thoughts go to one of our BTech students, Aditya Kumar, who is suffering from leukemia. And I hope, and I'm sure all of you will pray for his speedy recovery. You know, what is the characteristic of IIT, ISM that comes out? The sense of humanity. Within 1.5, we needed about 20 lakhs for his treatment. Within 1.5 weeks, the student, IIT ISM fraternity and the alumni were able to raise 23 lakh rupees. And this is one aspect which makes me very proud about IIT ISM. Graduates, I am sure you will make your country, alma mater and family very proud with your achievements. And when you leave, please maintain a dialogue. My email ID is director@iitism.ac.in. You are the young people, you have been through the system, you know what the drawbacks are. Please let me know what the drawbacks are, but also give me a solution. How should I change things? And I promise you, I normally answer all mails. एक दो दिन का कभी delay हो जाएगा. So I request you to keep in touch. And I wish you all success in your future endeavors. May the force be with you.
Respected dignitaries on the dais, dear other friends, and particularly the recipients of the degrees and their parents. This occasion reminds me of the convocation for the graduates of 1964, which I attended as a recipient of my diploma. Those days, ISM was not awarding degrees. I remember that around that time, there was a cartoon lampooning the college students and their parents. It had a caption, "Children are racehorses, parents are punters." And there were quite a few suicides among bright science graduates and those who had done class 12 in science who could not qualify in reputed colleges. I think that cartoon is equally applicable today. In this respect, I am reminded of talks by Ratan Tata, which include top 8 lines from Ratan Tata's lecture in London and 5 quotes from Ratan Tata. You may read them later at your convenience. They are available in the internet. Here I am referring only to the first of the 8 lines. That is, don't educate your children to be rich. Educate them to be happy so that when they grow up, they will know the value of things, not the price. So, the idea is that you must strive to be happy rather than rich. And the first requirement for happiness is good health. However, the easiest pathway from happiness is to deliberately neglect and thus spoil your health to earn money. Because no amount of money can get back the lost health. The next step to be happy is to do your present job well and to realize that your contribution to the society is significant. You must have heard of the 2 stone-cutting laborers working for the construction of the legendary University of Nalanda, probably sometimes in BC. A passing monk asked a laborer who was cutting stones, "What are you doing?" The laborer replied, "Can't you see, I am cutting stones. It is hard work, have to earn my living. The monk moved on and asked the same question to another laborer. The second laborer replied, I am building the university. It is work, but one day our children and then grandchildren will read here. The story emphasizes the paramount need to realize the importance of one's profession. And that is not the end. There is no reason why you should remain confined to a particular decent profession just because you got admitted to some particular program in a reputed institution. It is only a stepping stone for better and higher positions in the same profession, a similar profession, or maybe a completely different profession. You must keep your eyes and ears open and keep looking for better avenues to serve the nation, if necessary, by taking employment or entrepreneurship abroad. In the 20th century, this institute was dedicated mainly to earth sciences and mineral industry. Majority of the alumni became distinguished scientists and engineers in the government and private organizations related to earth sciences, mining and petroleum industries in India and abroad. But quite a few changed over to professions like defense, civil services, management, accounting, law, navigation, interior decoration, mountaineering, farming and film making. A sizable number joined IT industries and were pioneers in the introduction of internet in India. And all this they did when the career prospects in the mineral industries were far better than any other profession in the country. In addition to those who had come from rich families and joined their family business, quite a few alumni established their own industries and other business. Most of those who chose entrepreneurship had the advantage of continuing to work as long as they lived. A substantial number of them are still working, and looks like, and I wish that they will continue to work even when they will be more than 100 years old. Compared to them, you have a much wider spectrum of career options, as well as a wider background of general engineering education. Your first job, whether through campus placement, direct placement, or examinations like GATE, is only the first step to choose a career that can make you happy. You see, whether you will be happy in your job depends on how well you like it. For an example, you have heard of corporate social responsibility, which you will have to shoulder, either as entrepreneurs or as an executive of an organization or industrial unit. Today, every large PSU and every large private organization has its own CSR guidelines. About 50 years back, there was no such clear-cut guideline. There were philanthropic activities by large industrial houses like Tata, Birla and Dalmia, but those were for the society in general. For example, the first Tata College was established not in any of their works or mines, but at Chaibasa, the district headquarters. Similarly, it's common knowledge that money spent on Birla Hostel and Temple in BHU is far more than the money spent in any school in any of the industrial units of Birlas. Most of us who were unit heads like mine managers or plant superintendents hardly bothered about philanthropic activities in the nearby villages. But some of us were keen to take up such philanthropic work. They took up the matter with their employers for monetary sanctions and spent from their own earnings, thus motivating their junior colleagues as well as villagers themselves for such work. All those philanthropists were far happier than most of us. They might not have become directors or even general managers, but they retired happily with the satisfaction they have helped so many people in so many villages. All of those alumni were and are happily engaged in social welfare activities in places where they have settled after retirement. Now, in the IITs, you have a number of activities like with societal missions. For example, NSS is compulsory, one of the subjects which you must take. You should critically examine and evaluate these activities and decide for yourselves whether such activities brought happiness to you. Very often the answer is no. If that is the case, please examine the activities again and critically try to find out the result. I am giving an example of this institute. In 1992, there was an artificial limb camp organized by a service club. Before 1 month of the scheduled date of the camp, I had called a meeting of the students who were in NSS to request them to locate possible beneficiaries from within the campus and nearby villages. The students pointed out a number of hurdles which had to be overcome to locate such potential beneficiaries, like how to find time to go around and locate the beneficiaries unless the classes are suspended for a few days. How to meet the travelling and other expenses to go around the villages. Indeed, the hurdles were so insurmountable that even the cook Lakshman of the senior academic hostel of our institute could not know about the camp, though his old mother had lost one foot and needed an artificial foot. However, to my surprise, two students met me the day before the start of the camp and not only gave a list of 8 potential beneficiaries, but also an amount contributed by some student sufficient for one Jaipur foot. I asked them, why did you not say anything in the meeting of NSS? They replied, how could we have talked when most of the students saw it as a source of some pocket money and suspension of classes? This is why I feel all social service activities may not be a source of happiness for you unless you you are genuinely interested in the welfare of the nation. Whatever profession and career you choose, and howsoever you work or toil in order to be happy, you must accept that fate has a big role to play. For example, all of you must have heard of General K.S. Thimaya. He succeeded General K. Kariappa as the Chief of Indian Army, was one of the outstanding generals of India. He was the second of three brothers, Ponappa, Subbaiah and Somaya. All the three became officers in the British Indian Army. The elder brother Ponappa was captured by the Japanese and joined Indian National Army of Netaji. And as you know, the government of India saw to it that the ISM members were forgotten by history. The youngest brother Somaya was killed in 1947 by a landmine during action in Kashmir. The middle brother Subbaiah survived to become the chief of the army. Can you do anything to overcome such a fate? The best is to accept it and then try to improve on whatever you have. And I request you to please listen again. Please keep quiet. I again request all parents and would-be parents to stop behaving like punters and to stop treating the children like racehorses. Please remember that faster the racehorse, the farther it can run, not only geographically, but also socially and psychologically. You may be left far behind, alone, in a luxurious house, in a very good locality, where all the daily needs are easily fulfilled. It is the life of a well-fed and well-cared for, caged parrot in a golden cage, longing for its tribe in the woods. You must try to create circumstances that can make you happy, whether it is prayer, social work, reading or anything else. And I wish you all the best in your life. Since the chief guest has not yet arrived because of some difficulty in his travel program, we shall go on to the next program. So, Mr. Director, please award the degrees.